There's a certain kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from loss, but from longing. Imagine being a child whose mother isn't gone, she's simply always somewhere else, glowing on a movie screen, adored by millions, unreachable at home. That was the reality for Sachi Parker, the only daughter of Shirley MacLaine, the Oscar-winning icon of the apartment, terms of endearment, and postcards from the edge. To the world, Shirley was fearless, brilliant, and endlessly fascinating. To her daughter, she was a myth. A visitor. A silhouette passing through. And this is where their story becomes far more painful than any Hollywood drama. Crescent moon, a star rising, and a family drifting apart. Shirley MacLaine didn't stumble into fame, she ran toward it like a woman who'd known her destiny from birth. Born in 1934 to artistic parents, she learned early that performance was freedom. At 20, she replaced an injured actress in The Pajama Game and captivated a Paramount producer. Within weeks, she was on a train to Hollywood. Her ascent was meteoric. A Golden Globe for The Trouble with Harry. An Oscar nomination for Some Came Running. Icon status after The Apartment. She lived fast, thought big, and refused to slow down for anyone, not even her newborn daughter. Airplane, the flight that changed everything. In 1956, baby Stephanie Sachi Parker entered the world. But Shirley's star was rising too quickly for her to pause. At just 2 years old, Sachi was put on a plane alone and sent across the ocean to Japan to live with her father, Steve Parker. 3 days in the arms of strangers. 3 days between the mother she barely knew and the father who would fail her in his own way. Shirley stayed behind to finish filming The Apartment. One decision. One flight. One wound that would last a lifetime. Japan, a childhood of appearances and abandonment. Japan was glamorous on the outside, empty on the inside. Steve Parker, charming and worldly, kept mistresses and held parties, but behind closed doors. He insulted Sachi, calling her the idiot. He restricted her reading. He spent Shirley's money freely. He left her emotionally isolated. Visits from Shirley were rare, holidays, sometimes summers. At the airport, Shirley would rush in smiling, bubbly, let's have fun. But after a few hours, Sachi says the warmth faded. The countdown to another goodbye began. Then came the Christmas nightmare at age 14. School ended. Every student was picked up. Except Sachi. Her father was off yachting. Her mother was shooting in London. No one came. 4 days. A classmate's family took her home. Neither parent apologized. That was the moment Sachi understood something devastating. She didn't have a mother. She had a celebrity. Milky Way, the double life of Shirley MacLaine. Hollywood worshipped Shirley for being bold, eccentric, and spiritually awakened. She championed women's rights. She challenged studio power. She wrote books about past lives and cosmic journeys. She lived an openly unconventional marriage. But the more she explored the universe, the less she seemed anchored to the daughter waiting for her on Earth. Sachi never knew which Shirley she would get, the warm, funny mother, or the distant guru lost in another dimension. As an adult, Sachi returned to the US, hoping for connection. She worked odd jobs, chased small acting roles, and reached out to her mother again and again. When she asked Shirley for $500 for a car, Shirley loaned it with interest. Therapy failed. Conversations failed. The emotional wall stayed up. Then came Terms of Endearment, Shirley's Oscar-winning role as a fiercely loving, complicated mother. The world applauded. Sachi sat and cried. Hollywood was celebrating the tenderness she never received. Open Book, the memoir that opened the wound. In 2013, Sachi finally told her story in Lucky Me. It wasn't hateful. It wasn't vengeful. It was the voice of a daughter trying to understand her own childhood. She wrote about the lonely flight to Japan. Her father's manipulation. Years of emotional distance. A traumatic incident at her mother's home involving blurred boundaries. The crushing silence between them. Shirley denied nearly everything, calling the book fiction. The media sensationalized it. But readers, they believed Sachi. Because the pain in her voice was too real to fabricate. Herb acceptance without closure. Today, Sachi has a family of her own. She calls motherhood her healing. She gives her children the love she waited decades to receive. Shirley, now 91, remains unapologetically herself, mystical, independent, unbothered by earthly dramas. She believes they might reconcile in another lifetime. Here on this one? They remain planets orbiting each other, but never close enough to touch. Sparkles their legacy, a lesson about fame and family. Their story isn't about villains. It's about wounds, choices, pride, and two people who found different ways to cope with the same broken bond. Shirley chose stardom. Sachi chose survival. Some lights shine so brightly that they forget the shadows they cast. Studio microphone. Final question for viewers. Do you think extraordinary success can ever excuse emotional neglect? Or does every child deserve